Hey, welcome back, guys. How you doing? It's me, Mr. Forecap Scaler. So, interestingly enough, I've been checking out HGIG on dynamic tone mapping, which is another service that helps with a dynamic tone mapping for certain games that implement it, and it's called High Dynamic Range Gaming Interest Group. It's been around now for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years. Uh, but it seems to be working quite well on a PlayStation 5 HDR LG OLED panel, which is a C10 2020 version of the model right here, 48 inch. And I've noticed when I use the HGIG that dynamic tone mapping seems to be more redefined, more brightened up on the distance where the clouds are. So here, I'll show you in a minute right here. You might even see it when I turn it on. Like it brightens up in a draw distance right there in a horizon, and you can see the haze on the clouds. It really adds depth to the picture. When I turn it off, you can see it's dimmed down, and even though you can see still the definition of the clouds, but it just looks more foggy. But when you turn it back on, it definitely adds to the detail. I'll bring it a little bit closer for those of you who are watching on your on your cell phones. I'll try to bring a little bit closer so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so I brought my camera a bit closer and I'm recording this in 4K. So I'm gonna turn off the HGIG right now. HGIG, it's on, and there seems to be a good definition right there on the clouds. So I'll turn it off. You see, when I turn it off, it looks bleak. It looks almost as if we lost that peak brightness of that dynamic tone mapping that really helps HDR on certain instances, like right here in the clouds. And I'll turn it back on. And you can see it. Clearly you can see the difference when the HGIG is turned on and then when it's turned off. When it's turned on and then when it's turned off. And now it's off. Here. Now it's turned on. Now it's turned off. And I don't know how much my camera here can really depict, but I'll do my best. There's a German guy who, which I like. I watch him from time to time. Who does television videos. He's really good. Forgive me for forgetting his name. I think even he mentioned that certain games look really good on HGIG, and this is true. I think there's more and more games they're utilizing HGIG, like Ratchet and Clank, and bunch of. It seems to be Sony games. PlayStation games seems to be utilizing this more often than the Xbox for some reason. Okay, so I find a perfect spot right here, looking over these trees, the clouds, and the sun. Now, dynamic tone mapping DTM, it's turned off, and I'm gonna try to switch to HGIG just to show you how much that HGIG redefines the detail with this OLED. I'll turn it back on. Look at that. Clear as day. Look at how beautifully the definition of the clouds, of the haze, here you get to see. Just a beautiful definition right over here on this area. And let's turn it back off. And now it looks dimmed down. Now it looks like there's a fog coming down or something. When you turn it back on, it looks much better. This is what that German guy was talking about. You know, I've been kind of negative on HGIG, but that's because when I was doing reviews of HGIG, it was like at its early stage. But now there are more games supporting HGIG. I'm kind of really interested to see what can I do with the settings and to squeeze the better detail. I would love to see HGIG on the Microsoft Flight Simulator. That would be pretty cool if Microsoft would do that. But I don't think the Dolby Vision supports the HGIG, unfortunately. I mean, clearly you guys can see the difference here. I mean, it's like night and day. Much better definition of the sun beaming down through the ray of lights, clearly. And this looks much better in person, obviously. So I'm going to try to kind of zoom out a little bit and give you a better look at it. I'm going to turn it off, which is off. I'll turn it back on. Keep an eye over here on the top, above my character, here and here. These two areas right here. And look when I turn it off. Do you see it? Like right up here? You lose that definition of the sky. There, I'll keep doing this for a few times so you guys can see it for yourself. Definitely better. So just a short little video. I wanted to emphasize a little bit on the HGIG, which is the High Dynamic Range Gaming Interest Group. It's good to see that there's more and more games utilizing HGIG. HGIG looks amazing on OLED, especially on the OLED panel. Why? Because on top of OLED being such a great panel that it is, imagine having a really good HGIG being implemented on that tone mapping in the game. That will only add to a better experience. Now, picture settings are very important. What type of tone color are you using? What type of settings do you have implemented? Of course, you have to calibrate your television appropriately to get the best advantage of the HDR. And of course, you have to use HDR calibration with your PlayStation and properly calibrate your HDR calibration. This is something I can do again to give you my HDR PlayStation calibration, which is available on the PlayStation. Also on the Xbox, you can do the same thing. But I can tell you right here, looking at this, that HGIG definitely looks good on the Grand Theft Auto 5 PlayStation 5 version. Thank you guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Take care.